If you enjoy watching Common Ground online, please consider making a tax-deductible donation at lptv.org. Lakeland Public Television presents Common Ground, brought to you by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund and the citizens of Minnesota. Welcome to Common Ground. I'm your host, Scott Knudsen. In this episode, visit the 2014 Turtle River Days Music Festival, then peruse collections of vinyl at Northern Community Radio's Record Store Day.
I want to welcome all of you to the 10th annual Turtle River Days, and we're in the History Tent celebrating the history of music through Gary Berger's studio, and we have music all day for you, starting at 9 and going till 8:30, 9 o'clock tonight.
My dear neighbor Maggie Carlson, who's in charge of the History Tent, thought what a better way to celebrate than to celebrate the music and spirit of the area by celebrating Gary Berger's studio and the people that have come and gone through there. She made it happen. She and Eric just made it happen.
Today we have like 15, I believe, they were different acts that came. And it was not hard to get that many. As a matter of fact, when people started calling back, after I'd initially called a large number, I started getting nervous that how are we going to do this? And we started talking about 2 tents, and ooh, it was so much, and we didn't really have any money at that point. We thought, well, build it, it will come, and it did. But we decided to do a Kickstarter campaign, and it was successful. We raised $2,500 and some dollars through Kickstarter, and then a lot of people just donated money that wasn't through the internet. They liked to just know who they were giving it to. So we took in $3,400, I believe, by the whole time the whole thing was over. And we knew that we had to have an amazing sound system person who could change over that many bands and stay there for that long. And that was the hardest part, because my son Eric knows most of the sound people and musicians in the area, and we just couldn't think of anyone except Dan Haug. And he is one of the best sound people we have in the area. But he's not doing that so much anymore. He's pretty involved in KBXE and has a full-time job and didn't really, want to at first. But we desperately begged him, and he did it. He even stayed with his equipment all night and slept on the stage and got eaten up by mosquitoes and didn't sleep well. And then he worked that whole morning till evening, putting a great sound together. Every 10 minutes, those groups would switch. So one time a solo artist might be on, and the next is 6-piece band would come on, and he just handled it so well. And he credits a lot of that ease to Lance Benson, who was managing the stage and the mics, and so they worked well together and did a fabulous job.
Just stepped off stage a moment ago, and we had a full house in here. We are honored to be here today in remembrance of Gary Berger, who passed away earlier this year. Gary was a mentor to me, but a mentor to hundreds of people throughout the community and the world. We miss him. I miss him dearly. He has assisted me in my recording career, my musical career, and my life. He's given me guidance in so many ways. We have a full day of music. We are at our 1 o'clock time, and we are going to be going till about 9 o'clock tonight. This is the first year they've done this much music, where we've brought in a full sound system and also had a lot of stage hands and people helping out on this event. It's going great, and the support today is huge. If you look around, there are just plenty of people with a big smile on their face.
Another huge thing for me was Kent Christensen said, "I'll take care of the stage." I had no idea how to deal with that. And they found a gift from, I think it was Zion Lutheran Church, and they had an old stage they didn't want, and I think they donated it to us. It was almost as big as we needed, so Kent had 2 more sections made and then stairs, because it was a 2-foot stage, and that was like a dream come true. I had no idea that would happen, and I really thank Kent for that. And the amount of people that volunteered was another outrageous thing. It was twice as many as musicians. So there were 30-some volunteers that we had to count on to host the musicians when they came, make sure they had food to eat, knew where to put their instruments, welcome them, announce them. Sue Carlson did a marvelous job with that host committee, and we had food left over and happy musicians. They all really appreciated having something there for them. They each had a lanyard that said their name and then a pic from Gary's studio that Cindy and I found. The people that came, I was amazed, came to listen, stayed there, and just, not all of them, of course, but there were a group of people that kept that tent full that whole day, into the night, and through the mosquitoes.
We will be having people that have traveled. One guy's traveling from Nashville to be here tonight. We have people that have traveled from, I believe, Florida. I've heard of people from Colorado being here, all to remember Gary Berger. He really touched a lot of lives throughout the whole country and world. And it's really neat to see people come out and support such a beautiful thing. His wife has been running around, Cindy's been running around, and she's full of smiles today too. It feels good. It feels good to be here.
It's such a rich area. People-wise, just the best people in the world. And heritage-wise, there's great history. We had a little tiny history tent the first year that people loved it. They'd go through those old pictures and, oh, I remember that, and oh, I remember that. I mean, at one time it was a town of over 3,000 people with several hotels and schools and churches and other things. General stores and other things. Lots of saloons, I think, and the train going right through. And it's all forgotten because there's nothing, very little left over in Old Turtle River. So we want people to know about that and what it used to be. We started out using the old 71 bar, the parking lot, the grassy field that was there, and they had a lot to do with Turtle River Days. The 1 o'clock parade is always the hit of the day. We were struggling to find enough things to be in the parade those first years, and Kari, won't you be mayor and ride in the parade? Moo, I don't moo. But Tom Reese had that beautiful old car, and Tom says, come on, Gary, this will be fun. So we made him the signs, Gary Berger, Mayor of Turtle River, running on the No Progress platform. And he was happy to do it for many, many years. He got into it. That was a family effort. It took us 2 years. Mitch Blessing built the steel frame, and then I covered it with, and he had all the mechanics so the legs would move and the head bobs and moves and the tail moves. So then I covered the big shell with chicken wire, and then I sewed the cover for it, and my daughter Mary did that incredible head with those eyes that just follow you as you're there. Last year my daughter Sarah rode her, and this year Gary's niece Gwen Fruey Berger rode her. Fulton Gallagher has always created his own crossword puzzle. The first year it was all about Turtle River. So if you weren't from here, you'd have a little bit of trouble answering those questions. And it's a 2-hour time limited contest. First person to get it done completely and correct wins $100. And Fulton's done it every year people line up just waiting to get that puzzle. Thomas Sand and Gravel, the Thomas family has always been huge supporters, both of our Spring Thaw, which is our only fundraising event of the year to help pay for Turtle River Day. And this year they sponsored the pedal pull, tractor pedal pull contest for kids from 4 to 12. It was the Thomas families and Subway put that on for us, and the kids just had a ball. We had not too many crafters the first year, maybe 12 booths. We had the history tent up, kids games, and the big parade, and that was it. And the next year, it just grew as it was, and then we added the 5K in the morning, and New Salem started doing the pancake breakfast. The car show has always been there too, but we never had room at 71 Bar, so down where the new site is, they always had just a show up with your ride and show it off, kind of very casual, sponsored by Scenic Auto Body. Bouncy houses, this was our first year for 2, and Sovties from the Liquor Lodge have provided us the use of the field for these last 2 years, and it's been marvelous.
I think that this just kicked off that whole idea of keep that music alive in Turtle River, because it's been brought to life through the years, and Gary definitely was a big part of that. I think of us moving, I moved here in the 70s, and I met my husband up at the 10 Strike Bar dancing to the local music, and Gary was a part of all those people that we met there. Charlie Nason's band and the Known Only Locally group that played dance music up there. So I feel like it's just the right place to continue to support that music. KBXE did us such a good favor. They without a lot of asking, decided to just push it, and they played a lot of the musicians' music throughout the week. They interviewed Christy Miller and said, "What's the deal with this Turtle River place? That seems like it's happening out there." And she said, "I don't know. I don't know how it happens. But if anybody has an answer to that, it could make money. The ingredients." And I kept thinking about it. I've been thinking about it a lot, and I really do think it's the seeds of Gary Berger being here, because he. Character that he was just drew people in. He loved people, he loved to support people, he wanted to help all of us have our music available.
I really would like to thank all the volunteers, Maggie Carlson and Dan Haug, and there's many others, Cindy Berger, of course. And if I'm forgetting other people's names, I apologize, but those are many of the people I had direct contact with getting involved in this. When they contacted me, it was going to be a smaller event. I was going to run sound for singer-songwriters, and it just exploded into this really beautiful thing. And that's why we got Dan Haug involved. We're so lucky. And I'm helping him run sound and keep things running. It's great to see the whole community pull together and everybody's helping out. So I can't thank the volunteers enough. That's what makes this happen.
I just don't think there could be anything better than what we experienced. The community, the music, the art that we had in the booths. It was amazing.
think the draw for vinyl is we live in a digital age. There's a lot that's not tangible anymore, and vinyl is a tangible thing that you can look at and feel and see, and it just brings up something that doesn't really convey on your cell phone. If you're looking at a vinyl versus a cell phone screen or a CD even, there's a different connection. I'm Kari Hedlund, the music director for Northern Community Radio. We are downtown Bemidji at Brigid's Pub. It's National Record Store Day, and we are celebrating with our own record store sale featuring used vinyl, CDs, and we're going to be having live music and vinyl being spun throughout the whole day. We are an independent radio station in northern Minnesota, and we are big supporters of local musicians and local arts. And Record Store Day features support of independent brick and mortar type organizations and businesses. And we did not have any in our listening area that celebrate Record Store Day with live music and just the whole offerings that Record Store Day does. So we thought that would be a really fun fundraiser for the station, as well as fit in with our theme of building community in northern Minnesota, featuring local musicians, celebrating the arts by selling great music and great vinyl to a wide array of people. A small portion came from our original KAXE library, but that's a very small portion of what we have here today. The rest all came on donation from listeners and people in the area. We had people unloading cars, their entire vinyl collection from 30 years ago, into our studios, and it's been really fun to go through. About 80% of our donations for the sale were vinyl, and the other 20% were CDs and other things too. So. Very unexpected to have that high number of vinyl. I was really anticipating more CDs and other sorts of donations, but it's been pretty wonderful to see all the vinyl come through the doors. We ended up with about over 3,000 vinyl for people to shop for and find and add to their collection. We went through all the boxes of donations. We did fill some gaps. We lost a large percentage of our collection, a rock collection specifically, in a flood. And so we did fill some holes with some of the donations for our KBXE vinyl restoration project. We're bringing vinyl back into the back so that it's available for music programmers to reach easily and incorporate into their shows. So we moved our whole original KAXE collection from the 70s and 80s over to KBXE in Bemidji. And that's about 6,800 albums. And we're in the process of restoring that, and we've been able to do that through the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund. We got a vinyl restoration project grant that has allowed us to put some time and effort into restoring these albums, just basically making it available in a clear way for our programmers to be able to utilize the vinyl. And so we've been filling some gaps into our library with the donations, but also we looked every single one up. We were appropriating the value in a good way so that we could make money, but also so that it's affordable for people. We had lots of volunteers helping. This last few weeks we've just had a flood of volunteers who have come in and helped siphon through all of the vinyl. We just moved our entire KAXE collection to Bemidji a couple months ago, and that was over 6,800 vinyl, and that was a huge process. So in anticipation of moving today over to Brigid's, I was kind of expecting that same process, but it went shockingly smoothly and quickly. We were done in a matter of about an hour, and we incorporated the use of dollies, which was a very big benefit. We would love to make this an annual event. Record Store Day throughout the world is celebrated each year, and we would love to be able to make this an annual event for downtown Bemidji.
I'm Cage.
I'm Carol Ann Russell. I'm a poet in Bemidji.
My name is Brandon Lentz. We're here at Brigid's Pub in Bemidji. And there's a bunch of bins full of all kinds of records.
It's the only place to be in the universe at this moment where everything like this could be happening.
So far I've picked out kind of a random collection of stuff.
I bought Bob Dylan's second volume of hits. I've got Hungarian gypsy music.
I picked out a Stan Freberg album because he passed away recently. And you can't go wrong with Queen. And everything else I've grabbed, I kind of grabbed based just on premise and cover. We got some Police, some older reggae stuff here. We got Jimmy Cliff.
I found Leo Kottke's Greenhouse. I found all the Joan Baez records completely brand new, which I love.
I really love the Pink Panther theme. You can't go wrong with Steppenwolf, and I have no idea what this Leon Russell record sounds like, but it looks great.
It's just been fabulous. Talking to people as we're going through these records, reminiscing, everybody handing records that to me that I didn't know about. Here's Pentangle. This is a keeper. I'm giving this to my husband for our first anniversary.
A bunch of bossa nova, Quincy Jones, some pretty good jazz. There's a whole variety of records out there. You gotta dig through the crates to find the treasure.
The appeal is that you can hold them in your hand. They're a piece of art. There's time involved. Other people are here. It's a community thing. I used to go to the record store just to hang out and go through records.
Because with records, you can't get the same sound as you can on CDs with records. You get that old static sound, and that it just sounds more authentic.
I believe the sound is better on the pressed vinyl. I have a ton of CDs. I've got a Bose. I still hear better things with the pressed vinyl.
You can put it on your record player, and it kind of takes you back to an older time where you can put the piece of artwork up on the shelf while you're listening to the record, and sometimes they're not perfect. You get a scratch or a hiss here and there, and I think that makes it a bit more authentic.
You know, I remember when CDs first came in to supplant vinyl records on the radio, and the sound was immediate, it was very clear, it was kind of crass, and the vinyl records are softer, they're more tactile, and they have fantastic cover art. I'm Maggie Montgomery. I'm General Manager of Northern Community Radio. We're at Brigid's Pub right now, and what's going on is Record Store Day, which is part of our Northern Community Radio vinyl restoration project. We have been celebrating Record Store Day for a couple years just on the radio and talking about it. It's all about rediscovering old vinyl and uncovering new vinyl records. And we had a bunch of vinyl that grew up with our station since 1976 that had been in storage for, 10 years. And our music director, Kari, helped us move all of that out, and we are in the process of restoring the vinyl and uncovering the history of the sound of the station from the past, and this is just part of that. This is going to help us with that project. We're raising some money to help do what needs to be done to restore our vinyl collection. I always like those really historical records when we come across something like old blues records like Sonny Terry, or some old bluegrass mountain records, some period records, some rare records, and those definitely stood out. But I'm kind of drawn to all kinds of records, all different records, like some modern punk and things like that. Absolutely fabulous album covers, and some of them reminded me of my heyday, kind of records from the 70s and 80s. So they were great. All those records were a lot of fun. Northern Community Radio itself is focused on using media to the community benefit, so we do a lot of different things that help us achieve that mission. Also cultural events and online media. So this Record Store Day is a project. We recently did a poetry beat cafe. That was one of our projects. But a lot of it takes place on the air with bringing people to the airwaves, local volunteers, local community citizens. We have news and information, we have nature. So I think we address community issues and needs in a lot of different ways.
Northern Community Radio reaches across northern Minnesota, from Red Lake to Brainerd to Park Rapids to Hermantown. It's a vast area that we broadcast to and that we incorporate into our station. And having something like this in northern Minnesota, I think, helps create a thriving art scene. It's unbelievable the arts that are available up in northern Minnesota. It's rural, but there's so much going on here musically, with poetry, with art showings.
When you have events like these in the community, I think it builds the connections you have in this town and makes it feel friendly and people share the same interests.
And to have something as great as a radio station be built completely on volunteers and members, and being just different and outside of the box than anything else you would hear on the radio, it's just fantastic.
You've got a DJ, you have an individual consciousness, choosing music, talking about it, telling you bits of fact about the musician or the time period. It truly does, you know, bring us together. It's like I sit around having coffee in my kitchen, turn it on, I hear what people are saying, what they're talking about. It's the only place where I've ever read a poem and had somebody call me from another town in Bemidji, Minnesota. You know, they call me on the phone, oh, I heard you, I'm in Grand Rapids. You know, that's just amazing, first of all. But it's not all about me, it's about the issues that people talk about, the intelligence that they bring, and the originality of their thoughts. You know, people aren't trying to please anybody, they're not party oriented, they're really thinking as individual members of our region and community. It's kind of like a family. It's created a family.
Because we are such a rural area too, bringing all of our listeners and beyond the entire Northern Community Radio area, having a place for people to congregate and enjoy things together is part of our mission statement as well, and it's just a big benefit to northern Minnesota.
Thanks so much for watching. Join us again next week on Common Ground. If you have an idea for a Common Ground piece that pertains to North Central Minnesota, email us at legacy@lptv.org or call us at 218-333-3014. To view any episode of Common Ground online, visit us at lptv.org. To order episodes or segments of Common Ground, call 218-333-3020. Common Ground is brought to you by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund with money from the vote of the people November 4th, 2008. If you enjoyed this episode of Lakeland Public Television's Common Ground, consider making a contribution at lptv.org.